Leader Summit here in New York. I'm Jane Blakeway. I'm the co-founder of Transform Finance, and I'm here with my co-host, Una Vandenberg.
Good morning. Good morning.
Who is founder of Raw Compliance. I got it right this time.
Yay. We are winning today.
We are winning. And we have a very special guest with us today. So we have John Wiethorn from Gusto. John is head of financial crime compliance at AML.
Yes.
BSA officer. So welcome.
Thank you. I feel very welcomed. I'm very excited. We're going to do this.
We discovered that you are a trained actor.
Yes.
So Jane and I, our amateur capabilities are going to shine through today next to you.
I'm very excited for it.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive straight in. And also, John, for those of you who are here at the event, will be speaking later on today as well. So have him up on the stage as well.
Yeah, we have a great crowd here today too.
We do,
yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Before we do, can you actually ask a little bit just about maybe like in a 2-minute kind of who you are, and a little bit of background on yourself. Tell us a bit more about your acting, and also a little bit about Gusto. What is Gusto?
Yes, that's a lot. I'll do that in 120 seconds because that's so easy. Well, I'm originally from Washington, D.C., where our nation sends its best and brightest to represent it. And if you think that's funny, you should just vote better. But I moved to New York when I was 18 to be an actor. So I trained in musical theater, and I was a working actor for many years. I was in the Harlem Repertory Theater for 4 seasons. But then I went off to law school to be a prosecutor, and I interned at the DA's office in Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, and I worked for the U.S. Army JAG Corps as an intern.
Wow.
It was really fun.
Did you make it to one of those TV series?
No, it was like way more boring, but I enjoyed it. And then I was at American Express, and so I started in fraud and then their financial intelligence unit, and then I did consulting for a while, and then I went to my first fintech, TransferWise, which is now Wise.
Yeah. By the way, for me personally, I'm not here to like endorse products.
No, it's fine.
I use Wise.
Yes, it's great.
Absolutely love it. And I was actually with the head of compliance of Wise the other day in London at a conference. I absolutely love their product.
It's a great product, and it's used in nearly every jurisdiction, and that created all kinds of work for me. So I oversaw North America while I was there. And then the last 3.5 years, I've been at Gusto. So Gusto is a people platform HR software for small businesses. So we do payroll. We move around 10% of all U.S. payroll is on Gusto. And then we also offer, insurance, benefits, time tracking, performance management. We recently acquired Guideline, 401k provider. So we're just getting bigger, and I've been there 3.5 years and just responsible for all of keeping everything safe.
Where does the name Gusto come from? When I think of Gusto, I have images in my head of like an Austrian baker.
Team, and I'm based here in New York. I've lived in New York 20 plus years now.
I love your energy, honestly. It's infectious. It's just brilliant.
It's the coffee. That's what that is. Yeah, absolutely.
It's your first time in New York. You have to talk later, won't you, with John?
It is my first time. Well, I have to say, I said to Jane this morning, coming in yesterday, very, very quickly, came through customs, and the custom guy said to me, so what are you here for? I'm here for work or for leisure? And I said, I'm here for work. And he's like, well, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm actually a regulatory lawyer. And he said, I just thought I'd ask, I thought you were a model. I was
nice.
Like, I'm coming back here.
Nice.
And I went, love New York already. First time here and not leaving, ever.
That is not my experience going through customs.
It was just amazing.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
So let's carry on, dive in.
Yeah.
So how has your role evolved in recent years, John? So what's different about handling financial crime in a fintech, for example, versus their traditional bank?
Good question.
Yeah, so I mean, there's always been some differences. In a fintech, things move a lot faster, and I think at a big bank, or a big financial institution, there's a lot of infrastructure that's been built. So whenever I'm joining a fintech, there's usually a reason. It's usually, hey, we need you to build something or to fix something. So at Gusto, I've been building for 3.5 years, and you can just move very, very quickly. I think the last couple of years, though, the technology has just been changing. So AI, huge. Like every year, exponentially, we're using AI more and more. And so there's a lot more pressure to say, you can't just hire a bunch of compliance people. We don't actually have an unlimited budget. So, what can we do to leverage technology and really empower our people to use that in a big way? And there's just a lot of fintechs in the space too. So you want to be competitive, and so you need to have your compliance up to stuff.
It's interesting you mentioned technology there. The other day at a conference I was at, there was one lady from a fintech, and she was saying if we change our providers, there's a transaction monitoring every year because of the speed of evolution of not just the product but also the risk in our books. And she said we refuse to sign more than a 12-month contract with a vendor now, and that's a game changer for the vendors because their valuations is based off repeat business. So I was like, wow, so how the vendors, their speed to market their product roadmap and development, it has to be as quick. And as you see, a lot of them get left behind.
Yeah, we actually have that same philosophy, and particularly around vendors with AI. And this comes from our finance team. They're like, no more than a year because they might be the best vendor today, but will they be in 12 months? And that's a lot of pressure for the vendors to really keep innovating.
But it should be.
Yeah.
I think they become complacent if you don't put that pressure on them.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we will never name vendors. But there are some legacy vendors. There's some legacy vendors that have large institutional customers, and you look at their software and it hasn't changed since the late 90s, and it's still very expensive for some reason. And I think though that might change. I think in the next couple of years you're going to see some of these medium-sized vendors and some of the newer vendors are just going to overtake the traditional ones.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, regulatory and structural challenges, I think was the next thing we wanted to move on to. So with new enforcement regimes and regulatory expectations, John, what do you see as the biggest structural compliance challenges facing both fintechs and digital payment providers moving forward?
Ooh, from a regulatory and structural standpoint, interesting. I think administrations change, and so the pressures are different on what they're looking at. But I think one thing that doesn't change for many fintechs in the U.S. is we have state-level licenses. So we have in Gusto we have 46 state regulators, so they don't stop at all. And so I think what's changing is the sophistication of regulators. So a lot of them are coming and they're saying, hey, we are regulating cannabis now, or we're regulating digital currencies and cryptocurrencies, or lending in a bigger way. And so there's a lot of states that are really pushing fintechs to be more accountable for consumer protections. So you always have to default to whatever your strictest regulators are. So you have to really build in a lot of protections.
One of the things that I find, which I find quite unfair, and I mean this in the nicest way for the regulators, is with the speed of evolution of the market, I have found, in my experience, and also speaking to others, that their ability to keep on top of the developments is limited. And you rightly hit the nail on the head. You've got the regulation, customer change, but even in the financial services, you've got gaming, you've got the fintechs, you've got the digital asset firms, you have now got, we see globally as well, KYCs now required for agents of sports stars, etc. And we're seeing a big game change in terms of scope. Real estate agents, law firms, corporate secretaries, etc. And we're expecting the regulators to understand everything and understand, but when they don't work in it day to day, so what they may know today, 6 months down the line is changed. And we talk about public-private partnerships in terms of education and development, but I think unfairly we're placing a lot of expectations on regulators to understand better, but it means they need to keep their ears open in a meeting as opposed to telling us what they think they know about what we're doing.
So you are 100% correct. I agree with you, but believe it or not, and how about that? I'm going to say yes and. It's a theater thing. I actually love that because, and I approach regulatory exams a little bit differently. I actually like them because it keeps us on edge, keeps us, up to standard. But what I view it as, I think some people unfairly look at it as adversarial, like, oh, we've got these examiners from, this regulatory agency. I view it as an education opportunity. And I think regulators, because of that challenge, they love to learn things. So we always try and take the approach of, hey, we're doing things a little bit differently. We will explain to you how this meets all the requirements and how the technology is working. And usually that leads to a great relationship with the regulators, because like, oh wow, I did not know that you could do that. And we're like, yeah, it's great. And we have audit logs and everything that they want to look for.
Explainability.
Yes, and it's so big. And I think, again, not big institutions have their purpose, and we love stability and all that. But I think they take a much more traditional approach of like, well, we're just going to give them exactly what they want versus, giving them some extra color around things.
I have to say, I'm quite competitive, and I used to really welcome audits or regulatory inspections, because I was the attitude of, I know my known unknowns, I know my known unknowns, I want to be very transparent, but if you find an unknown, then you've beat me, like literally. Yeah. And I actually want that. I want to be educated, I want to develop, I want to grow, but I also want to be like, cards on the tables, this is what we know, this is what we're fixing, this is what we know, but we know we need to look further into it to understand in more detail. If you've got the capacity and the resources to do that while you're here, fabulous. But if you find something I didn't know about, I'm really grateful, but I should have, on my watch, I should have known, and why didn't I know? And then I want to understand why I didn't know, so I can improve my MI, my data, my understanding of the exposure. And the brilliant thing is the regulators see different firms in different lights doing different things. And I love it when they go into 9 or 10 firms, 9 firms do things one way, and there's one differentiator, and that differentiator is doing it exceptionally well. So and then they go back to the other 9. Yeah. I just love that. Like that's continuous development and enhancement.
Well, and the regulators want you to succeed. Yeah. I think that's something that people forget. And even if they do find something, whether it's major or minor, as long as you commit to fixing it, it's fine. Yeah. And if you look at every company, and I do mean every company that gets fined, it's usually because they're trying to hide things, or they say they're going to fix things, they don't fix things, or they don't listen to the compliance officers. I mean, that's the other one.
The biggest weakness, however, in regulatory fixes is KPI timeline-based fixes, and I see this over and over, especially in big. I've ran big deferred prosecutions with the DOJ. I've been in other enforcement actions and remediation, and when you need to remediate, you need to do it holistically. It can't be let's plaster over that gap in the wall or that crack, because another crack's going to appear. It's not the wall, it's the foundation. And you need to go back to the basics, and you need to look holistically at your framework. And that's going to be the big game changer of the success stories moving forward. Who wins and who gets left behind in the race of digital transformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about, obviously with Gusto operating in the digital native space, we were going to talk a little bit about your views on crypto, tokenized assets, or DeFi touch points when assessing financial crime risks. This is a bit of a question, even if indirectly. So what would you say is the litmus test for when a fintech should treat digital asset risk seriously?
Oh, you should always treat it seriously, because you're exposed to the risk whether you realize it or not, because someone's sending money to an exchange somewhere, even if it's not you. And there is risk there. I think stablecoin is absolutely the future, and I think companies like Wise, that's a huge game changer for them as well. Be able to do that, and the ability for businesses to move money rapidly with stablecoin. And we see a demand for stablecoin as well at Gusto, because we facilitate international contractor payments, and they say, hey, it would be really convenient if we can do that. So definitely something we're looking at. But you should always be looking at the risks, and I just you can always look at risks and say, hey, we have zero risk of this because we don't handle cash. And maybe that changes in the future. You never know. But yeah, you should always be looking at it, because there's going to be some exposure. It just depends on your product.
Brilliant. And maybe we talked about, people and culture, obviously with your background with Wise and now Gusto. What do you think are the critical elements of building a high-performing financial crime team for the fintech sort of platform let's say?
We have, in my 3.5 years there, for regrettable attrition, so people that left for another job, we lost one person, and it was my deputy, and they left to become a BSA officer. So I was like, okay with that.
Spread your wings.
Yeah.
You did a good job. You trained them well.
Yeah. Well, they trained me well. I think that might be what it was. I think there's a couple things. One, you have to understand that your most valuable asset is the people. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what technology, what vendors you have. I don't care what AI you have. You need people that understand it, they know how to do it, and you need to train people and make them feel engaged and appreciated. So you have to pay them competitively. we need to like build a culture where they feel valued and they see a future, right? They can see like, hey, I can learn new skills here. I have a great leader here. And we try and do that. At Gusto, we have it's a little corny phrase. We call work that empowers a better life, and for our customers and for us as well. So we have really good benefits. We have hybrid work situation, which is really, really great. But we just have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, financial crime's fun. I mean, we catch bad actors all day. Like it's such a fun industry to be in. It's absolutely nerdy, but it's so much fun. And one thing that we've done is we hire a very diverse group of people from their backgrounds. So we have very experienced people coming into our department, and also people that we pull from other departments that have no compliance experience. So we often pull people from our customer experience team into compliance and train them.
And it's that's actually something I was saying the other day. I was speaking at a conference in Jersey yesterday, in the Channel Islands, and one of the things I said was, if you think you...
I'm so sorry, you said Jersey,
Yeah.
and we're in New York,
Yeah,
and I thought you meant New Jersey. I was like, I didn't know there was a conference in New Jersey.
No.
And then you're in the Channel Islands. I was like, I haven't been to that Jersey yet.
No, it's slightly different, slightly smaller.
It's a very low risk jurisdiction for money laundering, right?
Actually, it's the opposite, because it's all funds. So yes, it's all a lot. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted. That was very rude. Please.
No. But one of the things I was saying yesterday was, if anybody in this room thinks their job's boring, they're doing it wrong.
Oh yeah.
Because I get out in bed in the morning and I am so excited to do my work, because one, I love it. I really believe that what we do makes a difference. Our job, I genuinely believe our job is not just to detect, but it's also to protect. We're there to protect the more vulnerable in society, who may not necessarily understand the methods with which their financial platforms can be used, their monies can be used. But also importantly is because of the way in which scams and technologies are developing, every single day, like I normally used to go to work and I had a list of things to do. The next day, if I got one thing on that list done, that was a good day. Yeah. And then that list would always be changing in terms of priorities, and then sometimes things would just get moved to a folder of one day when I actually physically have time. But it's honestly, it keeps you on your toes, and there's always a fire. And if that is the type of kind of mentality you have, this is not a tick box process. In many instances, the biggest situations I've been involved in is where all of the boxes were ticked. It all looked perfectly okay on paper, but there was that little voice in my head that said, this doesn't smell right. There's something that's not right here. The business hates you for it in that moment, because they're like, you've got all these processes and controls and everything's passed. What is the problem? And I'm like, there's just something not right here. And that is that kind of the spidey sense, kind of that Spider-Man sense that we as compliance officers learn through the training and the exposure to the risks that we have, is that even if the boxes are ticked and the processes are followed, it's that just something isn't right here. And that, always trust that instinct. So when I'm hiring people as well, we were talking about this earlier, about kind of people coming into the industry, be curious, but also you need to be able to think outside the box continually and challenge what you're seeing, even if on paper it's agreed. You cannot come in here with a mindset of, I'm just going to follow the rules. Yeah?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, I agree. I mean,
I have gusto today.
You're living gusto. I love this. I mean, some rules should be followed.
Yeah.
Yes, like regulations, compliance rules. I couldn't agree more. And I think what's exciting about it is there's always something new that you're learning, new that you're seeing. I always tell our team, we're planning, we have quarterly planning, regular planning, sprints, but the criminals are also planning too.
Oh yeah.
And they're investing in technology and all of that at the same time.
They have the same access to the same tools, the same knowledge, the same people, but they're not bound or constrained by borders of indeed regulation. Sorry, as I choke, and I will just slowly die a slow death here on our podcast today.
Just looking at emerging threats and looking ahead to the future, just touching on looking ahead next 3 to 5 years, which threat or typology keeps you awake at night? And I guess conversely with that question, what innovation or control approach gives you the most optimism for the future?
Ooh, okay, so like get dark and then get happy.
Exactly.
Okay, I can do that. I think the 2 biggest threats are cybersecurity threats. I think that's absolutely the number one. And it is a threat that is underreported because no one wants that story to be told if you're a victim. But I think cybersecurity, absolute number one threat in the future, because AI makes the vectors of attack just so much faster, and they can in there. And then two, I think it's just scams. I mean, it's old school. It's the original gang OG. But I think scams are getting more and more sophisticated. The deepfake technology of voices and videos of just ordinary people to get people to give up their money.
Do you want to know an interesting stat I heard this week? The ROI, the return on investment on deepfake. For every 100K spent, do you know what the return is?
1 million?
It's 900,000.
I was close. I was close. Yeah.
Seriously, I was
9x.
Blown away by that stat. Blown away, because it's just, as you said, the technology is sophisticated, but the application and ability to access it is simple.
And that's and this is, we'll get to the positive part.
Yes.
I'm going to get you the positive part. But I think it's exactly right, because all of the
We are back. Sorry.
everyone wants faster access, face unlock, device. Just look at it. And the businesses, they're like, hey, what does someone need to open an account?
Yeah.
Can't we just port over their Apple ID? The Apple ID just announced that they want to tie it to a passport, so it can serve as an identification. And so I think what, on the flip side of that, though, is because of agentic AI, the controls we can get for monitoring behavior are so good now.
Yeah.
So we are and the rapid iteration of how we can build profiles for understanding how customers interact with software and institutions, we can capture things much faster and reach out to people faster to clear things. And that's exciting. So I think that gives me a lot of hope, and I get to work on it, and our team gets to work on it. And that's like really, really fun. I will say, though, coming back to the vendor thing, we can build a lot of things in-house now. So now when we're looking at vendors, it's like, oh, that's neat. But could we build that in 3 months, maybe?
This is where the kind of composition of the skill sets within your team are changing as well, because I actually personally, I need an engineer in my team 24/7. I need a dedicated engineer that's working with the team together with a data analyst, so that we can actually build our own system. You can buy off the shelf, but it's not bespoke, I'm going to start feeling like I'm sort of singing some song. I want the engineer who understands our specific problem statement to help us build something. And sometimes that also can be just working with a vendor and looking at how we could diversify the product slightly, or make it a little bit more specific to ourselves. But working with engineers over the past few years has been one of the most exciting adventures of my compliance journey to date.
I think one of the most exciting adventures I've done in the last 12 months is learning from engineers how to not need them all the time. And so I think with vibe coding and everything else, it's exciting. But yeah, data engineering, definitely very valuable skills.
Brilliant. Perfect. I think one more question, one last.
Sure.
Is this your favorite question?
Is it? Uh-oh.
Not quite.
So just talking in terms of advice for fintechs and banks entering this space, what one thing would you tell the head of AML or fraud to prioritise first, and why?
I think you need to prioritize hiring good leaders for your organization. If you don't have the right leaders in your compliance organization, you're not going to have the right team, and you're not going to be able to deliver. So it all comes back. I really think it comes back to people. So you need to get good leaders, retain them, pay them well, and that's the secret. And when you look at fintechs that aren't doing well, there's a lot of turnover in leadership, and the ones that do well, the people stay, and they stay for a reason.
Thank you. Yeah.
Your favorite question?
About advice for newcomers in the next generation moving into similar roles. What advice would you give them, the younger generation?
The younger generation? Oh, I'm getting old. That's what you're saying.
Roles.
I met someone at a conference this week who said to me, "Oh my goodness, you're Una. You used to work with my mum."
You're like,
And I went, "Oh no! Next thing you're going to be calling me."
I would actually say work on soft skills.
Yeah.
I think that's an underrated. The ability. It's not what you do; it's how you do it. And being able to present, being able to talk, being able to interviewing is a skill. But developing those social skills, absolutely key, particularly early in your career.
I'm a massive believer EQ, emotional intelligence in our role is that's your success story.
1000%.
You can be the best technically, but if you don't have good EQ and you can't basically discuss the challenges with a multitude of different people in different ways, understanding their responses, forget about it.
100%.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Thank you, John. Absolute pleasure to have
It's
you
my
here
pleasure.
with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing.
Thank you as well.
Thank you for your energy, your wisdom. It's just been phenomenal.
And fun.
Well, thank you, and welcome to New York.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And for those of you not here today, John will be joining us later today on stage as well, so super excited. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Perfect. Have a great day.